We're about to dive into something that's literally all around you right now. It influences every breath you take, every decision you make, and you probably don't even think about it much. We're talking about environmental health, and believe me, it's way more personal than it sounds.
So, before we get into any fancy definitions, just pause for a second. What's around you? Seriously. The air you're breathing, maybe the sunlight coming through the window, the hum of your computer, all of it. The natural stuff, the human-made stuff, even the digital world you're plugged into. That's your environment. But what does that word actually mean when we really dig in?
Okay, so for this first part, let's blow that idea wide open. Environment is so much more than just trees and trails.
All right, so here's the official breakdown. An environment is basically this complex mix of things acting on any living organism. You've got physical factors, that's the easy stuff like temperature or sunlight. Then you have chemical factors, which is all about what the air, water, and soil are made of. And biotic, that's just a sciencey word for all the other living things in the picture. You know, everything from the squirrel in your yard to the tiny microbes living on your skin.
You know, it's easy to think of the natural environment as something out there. You know, forests, oceans, places you visit. But the reality is, most of us spend nearly all our time in built environments. Think about it. Our cities, our homes, the roads we drive on, and inside that, we have our work environments, which are spaces specifically engineered to make us productive, whether that's an office cubicle, a factory floor, or even a farm.
And this idea of specialized spaces, it just keeps going. You've got educational environments, right? Schools and libraries, and recreational ones like parks and beaches. But here's where it gets really interesting in the 21st century. Some of our most powerful environments are completely virtual. Yeah, your social media feed, that is a meticulously designed environment built to shape what you think, how you feel, and maybe even your health.
Okay, so we've got all these different kinds of environments, but how do they, function? What makes them tick? To get that, we need to zoom in a little. We're going to go from the big picture environment and look at the complicated, messy, beautiful web of life inside it. We're talking about the ecosystem.
The best way to think about an ecosystem is like a busy neighborhood. You've got all the residents, the plants, the animals, the microbes, but it's not just them. It's also the shared infrastructure, right? The air, the water, and the soil. It's this whole system where everybody and everything is connected and constantly interacting. And, just like with a human neighborhood, you can measure its health by its diversity. A neighborhood with lots of different people, with different jobs and skills, is usually way more vibrant and resilient. Well, it's the exact same idea for an ecosystem. The more variety, or biodiversity, it has, the stronger and more stable it is when challenges come along. So inside this big, bustling, diverse ecosystem, every single living thing has its own address. That's its habitat. It's the one specific place where it lives. For a polar bear, that address is the Arctic sea ice. For a certain kind of bacteria, it could be the dirt under one specific tree. It's their own little corner of the world, their perfect home. And at that address, every organism has a role to play, a job to do, especially when it comes to food and energy. That's what a trophic level is. It's basically an organism's job title in the food chain. It really just boils down to one question. Are you making the food? Are you eating the food? Or are you breaking down the leftovers?
Here's the simplest way to see that flow of energy. It's a chain. At the very bottom, you have the producers. These are plants. And they're like little solar-powered factories, turning sunlight into food. Then you have the herbivores, who come along and eat the plants to get that energy. And then, of course, the carnivores eat the herbivores. So each step up this chain is really just passing the sun's original energy along.
So why does any of this matter to us? Why should we care about food chains and biodiversity? Well, here's the bottom line. A healthy ecosystem provides stuff we need to live, for free. They're called ecosystem services, but really, it's the basics. We're talking about clean water to drink, fresh air to breathe, and healthy soil to grow our food. We literally can't survive without. And that right there brings us to the absolute core of all this. We've talked about environments, we've talked about ecosystems. Now, let's make the most important connection of all. How all of that stuff out there directly affects our own health, right here. This is where the world meets our well-being, and this is it.
This is environmental health. It's the field that looks at all those outside factors, the physical, chemical, and biological things, and figures out how they get inside us and affect our health. And the whole point, the really crucial part, isn't just about treating sickness after it happens, it's about being proactive. It's about designing and building environments that keep us healthy from the start.
But that leads to a really tough, really important question. Is everyone getting the same deal? Do we all share the benefits of a healthy environment and the risks of a dangerous one equally?
The hard answer to that is no, not even close. This quote nails it. There's this stark, proven reality that some communities, very often marginalized ones, carry a much heavier burden. We're talking about a situation where your zip code can sometimes be a bigger factor in your health than your own DNA, simply because some neighborhoods are forced to deal with way more pollution and environmental hazards than others.
So what does that mean? It means environmental health isn't just a scientific issue. It's a social justice issue. It's about fairness, making sure that everyone, no matter who they are or where they live, has clean air, clean water, and a safe place to call home. Well, that's a cornerstone of building a truly just society.
So, who are the people actually doing this work? Who's on the front lines, fighting to keep us safe? Let's take a look.
This field is massive, and it's full of all kinds of specialists. You've got toxicologists in a lab trying to figure out if a certain chemical is safe. You've got health inspectors checking that your go-to lunch spot is up to code. You've got vector control specialists out there tracking things like mosquitoes to stop diseases from spreading. They're all different jobs, but they're all part of the same giant puzzle, protecting our health.
Okay, so let's circle all the way back to where we started. Back to you, right here, right now. After everything we've talked about, think again about your own surroundings, the quality of the air in your room, the water from your tap, the noise outside your window, the places you spend your days. How are all those things quietly, day in and day out, shaping your health? It might just be the most important question you can ask.